Hello, my name is Anicia Henne and I'm part of CSIRO's Landscape Plus team. Today I'm going to show you some of the functionalities of the Landscape Plus app. Once you have created an account, you will be able to purchase a license and then create a project. Within the application, you will find task steppers at the top of each page. You will also find information boxes that will give you some additional information as to what is required on each page. If you want even more information, a step-by-step guide with pictures and examples, you can always jump to the user guide. If in doubt, always follow the Cyro blue buttons. In this case, we will browse for our geochemical data and we will upload it. Once it is uploaded, we can pick the coordinate system of our samples and then continue to map our columns. On this page, you can ensure that all of your geochemical analytes have been mapped correctly, including the units, and you can then enter your detection limits. Once you hit continue, this will validate your data and then plot your samples in space. On this page, you will then be able to change the model area here in red by using either the buffer around the samples, or you can also click on the area and use these handles to extend your area. As you can see, there are some samples in this data set that have red crosses, and these are samples that are being excluded at the moment because they are falling on masks. These masks are roads that we are trying to exclude. If you would like to change that, you can turn them on and off. You can also upload your own feature masks. In this case, I'm using a completely fake data set that I have plotted over the lawless area, and therefore there's a mine site in the middle of it. I would like to exclude this mine site, so I am going to upload a shapefile that I have created to mask out this mine site. Once this mine site is loaded, you will see that all of the samples will be turning into X's. These samples will be excluded from the model. Once I'm happy with my model area and the masks that I have applied, I can simply hit Run Landscape Plus. This will initiate the model and this can take a few hours, so you will receive an email once that is done. In that email from Landscape Plus, there will be a link and that link will take you straight to the results. This is the first page that you will see. This is what we call a similarity model. And what you see here is a map in 2D space with your pixels from the model and also in 3D space. So all of these dots, each dot is a pixel on your map. And what you're looking for is distinct clusters. So for example, this cluster here should be a distinct cluster that you should also recognize on the map, like here in this corner. What you can do on this page is get a feel for what actually influences your model. For example, if I plot up here, I can pick the different input layers. If I plot up the radiometrics, I can very quickly see that we have high potassium in the pink spots on this map. That is also where I have features pulled out in my model. This model underlies all of your outputs. Once you have familiarized yourself with this model, and you can always go back to this page, you can then start looking at how many landscape types would I like to have in this area based on this map. And you have a choice between 4 and all the way to 16 landscape classes. What you want to look out for is that A, it represents the landscape features that you have observed. It is also similar to the underlying model that you can still view here in the background. And you want to make sure that all the distinct clusters have a separate color. I have reviewed this model previously, and I believe 12 landscape types serve my purpose. I wanted to pull out these breakaways in dark brown, and I wanted to pull out some of the ferruginous landscape types and also some of the deeper covered areas. So once I'm happy with how many landscape types I have, I can then go and start reviewing my geochemistry. There is a little sample overview table that shows you how many samples are in each landscape type. It also shows you how many samples you have excluded from the model that would have fallen into this mine site. Once I click on Review Geochemistry, I can pick from all of my analytes. I am just going to pick nickel. And then you can see that right away, this changes to become a box plot. Your overall data sits in the white box plot. This is all of your samples, in this case over 2,600, and you have calculated outliers for your overall population. If we look at these outliers, we can plot them, and we can see two outliers here. If we start breaking down that overall population into the different landscape types and calculate outliers for each of the different landscape types, we start seeing outliers that we don't see in these overall population calculations, because they are lower values, but within their specific landscape type, they are outliers. So if we now toggle to outliers by landscape type and we keep this outlier here in mind, then we see that it has extended the signal because there's another higher value within that landscape type. And we can also see that there's a few additional outliers. Now, this is, of course, a fake data set, and your data will look very different. You will probably not have an even spread, and that is okay. Some landscape types might not have any samples at all. Some might have lower numbers. And you can go through all of your different analyze, and you can do this for all of the different landscape maps. You can always come back to this. You can always come back to this interface. You can also at any point download your data. Your data download is not affected by anything that you do within the results interface. It will always have all of your data, all of your landscape types, and all of the outliers for each of your maps. It will also have additional things like principal component analysis, for example, that you can then review in your downloaded data. At any point for the duration of your license, you can always return to this interface, and you can, of course, also share this project with your colleagues.